Welcome to episode 42 and our second annual Valentine's special, Movie Lighthouse. Yes. Wading through the strewn petals of romance, karate kicking through the crowds of intolerance, and shining a light through the fog of film. Jesus. I'm Wyndham.
He's James.
And that is Laurie, and I'm going to give a round of applause for that.
I don't know though. I bet it's like we've upped our brief a bit. It's like, what we're doing? What? How much now?
Yeah, I only get to do one a year. I say gets to do one a year. I only want to do one a year. So got to make sense. How are you, gentlemen?
Yeah, I'm very well. A little bit tired, but can't complain.
And Laurie, nicely backlit.
Yeah, nicely backlit. I mean, look out the window, boys. Look at that. We've got a bit of snow raging. It's not quite settling as of yet, but, that's going to be fun, right?
But you're down in the east, right? So it's really going to come and get you guys.
Well, hopefully.
Nice.
Great.
So we've been busy since our last episode. We've got some mail.
Oh, have we?
Yeah, bit of mail baggage. Bearing in mind this is our Valentine's special, yous twos have got yourselves a Valentine. I was amazed. Nobody sent me one.
It's got to be.
Nobody sent me one. Do you want to hear what they are?
Yes, please.
James, you first. So yours, bizarrely, the picture on the card is of somebody in what can really only be described as a gimp suit with a rose between their teeth.
Well, that's your favourite, James. That's your favourite.
And it says, since the moment I first heard you slap down your fellow lighthouse keeper Laurie for speaking in a manner you didn't like, I've craved being on the end of your tongue lashings. If I promise to talk you through a film frame by frame instead of giving you a synopsis, will you be my Valentine? That's nice, isn't it?
That's amazing.
Nice. Get back. That's my tongue. That's my tongue lashing. That's mine.
And Laurie, you've got one as well.
Oh,
the picture on yours is a little bit weirder. Yours appears to be a bed with an unknown number of people, things, and stuff in it. There's a couple of feathers flying about. There's a bottle or two. There's a leg, and it says, "I dream of you. I dream of the day you and I can exchange deeply felt yet rose-tinted views on all manner of films that no one else cares about. We can then reenact 9.5 weeks. I'll bring the whiskey and a stick of butter. You bring Alan. Be my Valentine."
Done.
Look at that. What a night you're going to have.
They are amazing.
Are you up for this? Alan seems keen. He seems keen. He's dropped his cockle. Right? Oh, look at him. He's dropped his cockle.
I'm going to go get the rose right away. Between my teeth.
I was quite disappointed. I didn't get any.
Oh, maybe next year, Win.
Well, maybe. Does anybody have any news?
How's it going?
I've got a little bit, and it's just I want to come back to. Well, I first want to make it very clear that I've now had a complete turnaround on the whole Marvel thing.
I can't remember which way you were facing on Marvel.
Yeah,
you'd had enough, hadn't you?
He was down on it.
I'm very into it now. I mean, I have just watched episode 5 of WandaVision. Have either of you guys been watching it?
So I saw the first one and went, what?
I mean, I think it's certainly my favourite programme of the moment, if not for a very long time. It's so clever and so the story is inspired. I don't think it's taken from a range of comics from the 80s, but it's so good. Every week we are getting a different sitcom from a different era of television. So it started with the 50s, then the 60s, and it went into colour, and then the 70s was very Brady Bunch like, and we just had the 80s, and every time they have the title sequence, which is completely, just spot on. And obviously now we're getting the story about what's going on, and it's just brilliant. And it's half an hour, which is great. So it doesn't take.
They're a clever bunch over at the MCU.
Yeah.
Louise and I have started watching the Avengers movies in order of release.
Yeah, I've done that.
And you just see so much more now that you know the whole story arc. As you're watching it, you're going, "Fucking hell, that's clever! They've just dropped that little seed in there, which we know is gonna, lots of foreshadowing goes on. It's amazing."
Yeah. So after watch One Division, I went back and watched the Avengers because I knew who she was, but I couldn't remember really what she'd done. So Wanda. So it was very good indeed. So I am looking forward to seeing how that's going to pan out.
Well done, them. So I'm right in thinking this is the thing that may recently dropped on the Disney Plus, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay. That sounds good. I mean, I still need to get my eyes and ears to the Marvel films properly, because I've seen like a couple, or one or two of them. But this WandaVision sounds really good. They've kind of sort of opened up that, where comics you used to get, just individual comics, and they go off into these mad sort of different worlds and inventions and creativity. And like, it sounds really interesting. 30 minutes, different kind of feels to each episode. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, with quite a lot of sinister elements which come in. There's I think only one element that comes into the first episode, so you could be fooled to thinking, well, this is just like Marvel are making a sitcom. But as it goes on, you start to realise there's some serious stuff going on. And I mean, it looks like Disney as well are really kind of getting a handle on their product content. Obviously, they're doing lots of stuff with Star Wars, and I think all these series are really going to be for people like Laurie, who who want like the kind of the films are kind of blockbusters, quite easy stuff, but I think we're going to get all this Old Republic stuff, which I'm sure we'll lap up like a lapdog.
I'll lap up like a lapdog.
Well, he does enjoy a tongue lashing.
I heard that lapdogs were sort of specifically designed, like way back in the days. We didn't have like toilets as easily available to us as we do now.
Don't.
Shall I not? Like the ladies in the big like sort of like massive dresses that were like
I think it was
huge Meccano things. They couldn't casually go to the toilet, so they have a little lapdog just handy. Anyway,
is it not like Empirical China that created the lapdog?
Yeah, it's that as well.
It's got to be that, isn't it? Anyway, I've got a little bit of news. Did you see that the state of Texas in the United States is sorry after mistakenly sending an emergency alert for cursed Chucky doll? Did you see this? Listen to this. The Texas Public Safety Department raised a few eyebrows in the Lone Star State by reportedly sending out an emergency alert asking all citizens to keep an eye out for Chucky, the evil possessed doll from the horror movie series.
That's true, though. You do want to keep your eye out for that.
But the message went out over the state's Amber Alert system, which is blasted to people's mobile phones, usually to help find a missing child. It described the suspect as being called Chucky and listed him as a 28-year-old red, auburn hair, blue eyes, who stood at 3 foot 1 inches tall and weighed 16 pounds. He was said to be wearing blue denim overalls with a multicolored striped long sleeve shirt and carrying a large knife. Faced with numerous media inquiries as to why an alert was being sent hunting for a cartoonish villain from a slasher movie, the department issued a statement saying, "This alert is a result of a test malfunction. We apologise for the confusion this may have caused and are diligently working to ensure this does not happen again." Or is there really a Chucky doll on the loose?
Yeah, it's a cover-up.
It's got to be a cover-up.
Whatever happens, somebody's got themselves into a lot of trouble. Yeah, I can just imagine him, going back one night to work, being a little bit drunk again. Look what you can do. So it's going to be great.
We got to test it. What can we test it on? Any other news?
Not I, said the wolf.
Laurie?
Not he, said the wolf. No, I don't think so.
Okay. Which brings us to In the Beam. In the Beam. Laurie, why don't you explain what In the Beam is very quickly for those new listeners who are not yet au fait?
Absolutely. So here we are in the lighthouse, shining the light through the fog of film, and then as our light gazes out into that dark fog, if there's something that's really great that's worth shining a light on, that will result as us putting it in our beam, flagging it. Does that kind of work?
Recommendations of stuff to watch.
There you go.
Feels like you're putting more of an effort into this episode, Laurie.
Really?
It's almost coherent.
Really?
So
let's start with James. Do you have an in the bin?
Yes, yeah, I do. So I watched a film which I've been waiting to see for ages, and it didn't come out really at the cinema, and then I've just waited for it to land, and it landed last week, called Saint Maud.
Oh,
and
yes.
Oh, it's such a good film. It's basically about a girl, but in the 20s, who is basically a nurse, end of life nurse, carer, really. And she goes to work with this woman who used to be quite a pop famous dancer. She's about 50. She's got some quite degenerative disease, basically. So she's in a wheelchair towards the end of life. And Maud, who's a carer, basically has found God, and she believes she's there to save her. And it's their relationship and how far she takes that. I'd say it's a horror film, really. It's quite horrific. It's certainly incredibly tense and really well made, and brilliant music score is it's awesome. And right
Saint
to the
Maud.
end, right at the end, it's like, fuck, it's very surprising as well.
Right. Okay. Well, so you saying you was really looking forward to that coming out. So why was that? How did that get on your radar then?
Oh, I heard it on another review show. I don't know. Yeah, well, I get all my information. I can't tell you where.
It's a debut, a directorial debut as well, isn't it? Rose Glass, is it not her first film?
Oh, it could well be, yeah. I
saw this referenced some point last year, and it sounded amazing.
To be honest, Mark Kermode's going on and on about it. So that's why.
Well, we all jump on Mark Kermode, right? Okay, cool. Saint Maud. Where did you see that?
Amazon Prime, and you can rent it for normal price. It's not like they tried to set us release some of these things at 15 quid a pop, didn't they?
Yeah,
like Wonder Woman and stuff, but it's just normal £5 or something. It's well
cool. Good. Laurie.
Yeah. Actually, this one is a real genuine kind of like in the beam, like something that I'm pretty confident no one is really aware of, if that makes sense. Because 9 times out of 10,
we're not aware of it.
Well, I am not aware of it. But 9 times out of 10, these films, someone's written loads about it, and they say, "Oh, this is a great film that no one knows about in the cult, whatever." And genuinely, this one is a pretty good little film. It's not great, all right? I admit it's not.
Oh, you built it up, and now you're just going to go easy. Let's row back from that a little bit.
Yeah, let's row back.
The rocks, isn't it?
It's a 1987 film by a dude called Jeff Burr. And I feel for Jeff because he's made a good little film here. It's a portmanteau film, so you've got 4 different stories. It's kind of the stories are told to us via Vincent Price, who sort of got a bit grumpy about the film. He said it was missold to him by his agent. I don't like it. Oh, damn it. I wish I could do it.
That's good.
I don't like it. I was missold.
That is pretty good as him doing one of the characters we'll discuss later.
Yeah. So, yeah, he kind of sort of disowned his name from it. However, he puts in a good turn, and it basically starts off this woman is being given the lethal injection because she's some mad serial killer, crazy person, and then the reporter there wants to know more about this person and this town that they're in. They're in Oldfield in Tennessee, and she goes to the local librarian, who is Vincent Price, and he then starts telling her about the evil of Oldfield via these 4 stories that are actually pretty damn good. And there's some weird turns in there. There's some sort of Lynchian stuff that's going on. There's one of the stories is all about voodoo and about the problems of being the life eternal, living forever. very problematic state to be in, that one, by the looks of things. And then the carnival, like, you know, the fairs and carnivals, you've got a story about that. You've got serial killers in there, child killers, your favorite, Windy Bum.
Cheerful stuff.
It's a good little film, and no one really is behind it.
Is that why you're...
It's called From a Whisper to a Scream. There you go, From a Whisper to a Scream, 1987, and well done, Jeff.
And where did you find that gem?
It was actually a double bill DVD that Alan got off the DVD man, and it came with Theatre of Blood. So Theatre of Blood and From a Whisper of Scream on the same DVD.
Very good. Okay, and I also have one this week. This is a new film. It's just been released on Netflix. It's called The Devil All the Time.
Ah, yeah.
And in the same way that last time my On the Rocks was a Netflix original, that they're just making content because they need content, I think this is a proper film. It's got a really good cast. It's got Bill Skarsgård from Pennywise fame, Tom Holland from Spider-Man, Hayley Bennett from Girl on the Train, Mia Wasikowski from Alice in Wonderland, Jason Clarke from Zero Dark 30, your friend Robert Pattinson from the Twilight franchise, his best work by a mile, Harry Melling, and Harry Melling, who plays Dudley Dursley in Harry Potter. Now he's started getting a few. He's started getting a few parts now.
More than a few. That dude is everywhere.
He's working hard. But basically, this is it starts in the late 1940s into the 1950s with a GI coming back from the Second World War, played by Bill Skarsgård. And it's kind of a story that focuses on these two towns that are about 150 miles apart, and the way that these two small groups of people's lives are inextricably and unexpectedly linked. So Bill Skarsgård comes home from the war, meets a woman in a diner, falls in love with her, but goes back to his home where his mother has promised this little young woman that her son will marry her when she comes home, and the mother firmly believes that if this doesn't happen, something terrible will happen to the woman. Bill's not interested. He marries this other woman. The young woman who has been promised that Bill will marry her ends up marrying Dudley Dursley, Harry Melling, who is a traveling evangelical preacher who firmly believes he is the Lord embodied on earth and can help save people from their terrible lives. And it all just starts falling apart from there. And Bill bumps into a couple in the diner, and then that kind of sets in motion this story arc that later will involve his son, who is played by Tom Holland. And it's just these kind of interarching stories. Robert Pattinson plays a priest, and anytime you get a priest pitching up in the middle of nowhere in America in the 1950s or 60s, you kind of go, he's a wrong one. And it's just all these little stories intersecting. It's not fast paced. It's got this really steady beat to it. I finished it. It's one of those films. Recently, I've seen a couple of films where I finished them and I think that's a proper movie. It's good. Really well worth a watch. The Devil All the Time on Netflix.
Yeah.
Hey.
So 3 strong recommendations there. I think they all sound quite good.
Yeah.
Okay, On the Rocks.
Love on the rocks, ain't no surprise.
James, as you never get to explain these things, what's On the Rocks?
Well, On the Rocks is a movie choice that we may have seen recently, which we think is a pile of shit.
Yeah.
Spot on. And have we seen any films recently that we think are a pile of shit?
Yeah, the only thing I've seen, and I didn't get all the way through really, is I was watching Yes Man, which is a Jim Carrey vehicle.
Yeah.
And I just started watching it, and it was just so formulaic. It was the youngish midlife crisis sort of guy in a job he doesn't like with a kooky friend who is going to embark in something that's going to change his life around, whether it be mystical or, just doing something. In this case, it was just agreeing to everything. And it just got to a third of the way through, and I just thought, what's the fucking point of watching this? You know, it's gonna his life's gonna turn around. It's gonna get great. Then it's all gonna go wrong, and then in the final reel, it's all gonna get right again, and it'll reach a happy compromise. That's it. You know,
it's a shame because it's based on a book by a guy called Danny Wallace, who's a British journalist.
Yes, I know.
And he actually did it.
Who did
He
it?
actually
Yeah,
did it.
he just said, okay, I can't say no to things, but that then creates a really interesting dilemma for him when you get emails from supposed Nigerian princes saying they want to give you £100 million. How do you say yes without actually getting? So, have you read the original book?
No.
It's really good.
Is
And
it
it is
based
a really-
on the book, or is it just based on the idea of the book?
It's based on the idea of the book.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
I've just not for me at all.
Okay, Laurie.
So that's interesting. You said a Jim Carrey one because I stubbed my toe on The Mask. I was going to say The Mask. I put it on. Wow, I didn't put it on. Wasn't my choice. Alan thought it would be good for the kids, and actually, it did catch one of them. They saw it through to the end. So when I say it's more of a large stone than a rock. Actually, no, on the whatever it is. Anyway, yeah, I was just watching it. It was just like, oh. Oof. I just Jim Carrey, and obviously it's just a little bit like, oh, nah. So yeah, there you are, The Mask. It's not really on the rocks.
Fair enough. It's quite of its time, The Mask, isn't it?
Yes, maybe
Yeah.
that's what it is. Maybe
Yeah.
that's what it is.
And I have no on the rocks. I've decided to take
Yay,
a
well
break from
done.
watching stuff that is evidently going to be crap. Right then. So that brings us to a point in the show. Given last year's quiz was such an unequivocal success, and the looks on your faces throughout the whole thing.
I've still got croup.
Well, with that in mind, you will be very happy to hear I've planned another.
Yes, come on.
But I was thinking,
Oh,
okay, so the slightly surreal nature of the last one took you a little bit by surprise. It was a bit of a difficult. So I was thinking, what is this podcast really? You know, once you get over the slightly homoerotic premise of three dudes holed up in what can only reasonably be described as a massive metaphorical phallus penetrating our light out into the darkness and murk of movie watching.
Yeah.
It's really just a love story. It's a love story between three friends who've known each other for nearly 25 years.
Lord.
But over that 25 years, how well do we really know each other? And Mr. and Mr.
Mr.
I do like the fact that the expectation that is Mr. and Mrs. be nice to each other. It's a pretty high bar for a relationship. Okay, so quiz time. 3 rounds, 5 questions per round. The first round is you on you. And by that, I mean you on the other. So, first question. Are you ready?
Yes.
Question for Laurie.
Okay.
Who did James say is his favourite director?
Oh man. Stanley Kubrick.
Boom!
Yes. It's just because that's all he could think of. He was like, Stanley Kubrick. I know he's quite good, isn't he?
So
He did Shining.
when I asked him this, when I sent the list of questions to you both, he came back saying, I'm going to need some time to think about this. And then about 30 seconds later, he responded. So it
The only one he
didn't need
could
that long.
think of. Yeah, it's like, he
Okay.
knows that he's regarded.
So 1 point to Laurie. James, for you, who did Laurie say is his favourite director?
I love him. The reason why I answered this, dude, is just because I love him. So now you know it's male. But I genuinely love him.
I don't know. It'll be someone I've never heard. Oh, David Lynch.
Yes! Well done. There are many, you think about that. It's like, I should really be saying like Bergman or whatever. But no, I genuinely love David.
Okay.
There we are.
So neck and neck after the first round. Second question. Laurie,
Mm.
who did James say is his favourite actor, male or female?
Boo. Oh no. It's going to be a really good one as well. Oh, shit. Who plays Sue Ellen? Who was that?
Oh gosh, Linda. I can't remember.
It was not her.
Linda
Shit,
Gray. Linda Gray.
Linda Gray, that's it. Okay, Max von Sydow, even though I know he can't even pronounce that guy's name.
It is not Max von Sydow. James, who did you say?
I said Alan Bernstein.
Ellen Bernstein.
Ellen Bernstein. When I got that, good shout.
Ah,
Okay,
of course
same
it
question
is.
for you, James. Who did Laurie say is his favourite actor or actress?
I'm going to go with the obvious, which you won't have chosen, but I'm going to go for Nicolas Cage.
Oh, good shout,
That is
but
a good
wrong.
shout.
Laurie,
what
did you say?
I went with my gut. Yeah, I went with my gut because, like, again, you just go off into this huge. Oh, I love him. I love her. I love her. I love him. I love her. It's Harrison Ford.
Oh,
Okay, question number 3. Laurie, which film did James say is such a steaming pile that it makes him angry?
Ooh. It's gonna be something like a sequel of something, and then it's like he's followed this character, and then right at the beginning they screw up the character, and he's like, "What?"
that's a very good point. I struggled with this question, in fairness.
Alien 3.
No. James went for, I think you mentioned this a few weeks ago, didn't you, or a few episodes ago, The Secret, Dare to Dream.
Oh, right, yeah.
It came back to me because someone was talking about it the other day.
Okay, so, James, same question for you, but actually Laurie has given 2 answers to this, so there is the opportunity for a bonus point if you can get both.
Okay.
2 films that really twist my dick.
Yeah. Okay. Dune and Blade Runner.
So close.
Do you know what? It's so hard. I don't know. I really don't know. It's just it's too wide. This question.
There's
It
one
is
of them
hard.
that he has referenced on this podcast,
Alien 3.
Shutter Island,
Okay. Right. Yeah, I wouldn't have got that.
and the other one you'd never get in a million years, but he really doesn't like The Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah, I can imagine. I wouldn't like that either.
Okay, so moving on very quickly, excluding cult, if you could only watch films from one of our genres, which would it be? Laurie, what did James say?
I think he said maybe what I have.
Oh,
or am I monopolizing your bum? Okay, sci-fi.
Wrong.
And I think Laurie said horror.
He did indeed.
I initially said sci-fi, and then I thought about it. I was like, actually, no, wait a minute, because horror crosses over into sci-fi rather than the other way around more, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you get a lot of
I quite
sci-fi horror.
I think my favourite sci-fi is horror sci-fi, really, like Alien
Yes.
or Event Horizon.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
why I changed my answer.
You did.
Last
horror.
question in this round. James, you've taken a 1-point lead.
Come on.
Laurie, which is James's, or which character, for fuck's sake, we're phrasing the question properly. Which is James's favourite Avengers character?
Doctor Strange.
No. It's the Hulk, because he's incredible.
Oh,
James, same question to you. Which is Laurie's favourite Avenger? And this took like 17 attempts to pick a character that's actually a fucking Avenger.
Yeah, Swamp Thing's not in there. Deadpool's not there.
I'm going to go for Hawkeye.
Is wrong.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Standard.
You know what? That was nearly my choice. If I'd have been like 7, I'd have definitely chosen Spider-Man. But
Of course you would have
Okay.
done.
So at the end of the first round of Mr. and Mr. and Mr. James, you have a 1-point lead. It is 2-1. So
Lovely.
we will come back to that. I'm sure you're excited to hear.
Yeah.
But we can move on to our feature, which is 1973. Play a clip.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. Because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping. And the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence.
Of what? 1973.
Of 1973, yeah. You know exactly what that sounds like.
So just
All
before
right.
we get into 1973, just really quickly, we want to give you guys an opportunity to say why you proposed the one we didn't pick. So, Laurie, Holy Mountain, you gave us a potential option.
Yeah. So Alessandro Jodorowsky's Holy Mountain, and holy shit, that's a holy mountain right there. So yeah, this was the film that came out after the success of El Topo, which you guys have seen, and you did take it to your hearts, which I was very pleased with. So that had a quite a big impact on the kind of the art scene. You know, John Lennon said it was one of the greatest films he'd ever seen, and as a result of that, he got some money, he got an even bigger budget, and as you can imagine, from the mind of Alessandro Jodorowsky, you're going to get something quite serious. And Holy Mountain is this psychedelic, spiritual, kind of mentally deranged, political as well, sort of thing, I suppose. Even when you get to the end of it, actually, you get that kind of thing where certain people have got certain powers, certain skills and techniques, and they break out into like some crack team of weird people
Street
doing
dancers.
weird shit. It's just it's visually stunning. But there you go, Holy Mountain.
Cool. Okay, cool. Thank you. And
That's good.
James, you gave us Live and Let Die, which I was quite surprised at.
Oh, it's great.
Is it because you think it's a brilliant film, or because you just wanted to quickly choose two?
No, I do. It's my second favourite Bond film, only topped by The Man with the Golden Gun.
Oh yeah,
It's a good one.
I love the Roger Moore films. I just, those two really. I think that it's kind of the Lord of Diminishing Returns really. But I was kind of more interested in watching this now, really with the through the perspective of our kind of modern times really, because I imagine it's incredibly racist.
Yeah.
All the kind of voodoo elements and stuff, and I'd be just interested to see how it kind of holds up today, and whether it is still acceptable or if it just went too far, really.
Yeah.
I imagine it went too far, but it was so exciting.
It was. Cool.
And that's one
Okay.
with the tarot cards as well, isn't it?
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jane Seymour. Oh my goodness me.
Yeah, and the man with a hook for a hand, was that?
Yeah, he's absolutely awesome, that guy. And there's this really great scene near the end where Roger Moore shoots him in the face, but his face, he suddenly turns into porcelain. And I was like, how the hell did that happen? So there is real magic in that film. It's a good film.
So
No, that's not what happened.
It is. He does. He shoots the guy and then his face is porcelain. And then he's still alive, though.
I thought that was something to do with the machinery of the graves and stuff.
if only we'd picked it,
If
we'd have watched
only
it, and we
we'd
would now
picked
know.
it.
Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about 1973. It was quite a heavy year, I think it's fair to say. So in January of 1973, President Richard Nixon announced suspension of offensive action in North Vietnam, essentially signalling the end of the Vietnam War. In the March, women were admitted to the London Stock Exchange for the first time.
Yeah.
The citation doesn't say whether that was as traders or cleaners, but it's progress.
Yes,
regardless, right?
it is the latter.
Yeah. And I was reading this, and it kind of really took me back to the fact that when we were at university in London, and this is quite heavy as well, the IRA was still mounting bombing campaigns, but in 1973 there were 9 bombings in London and 1 in Manchester, and it just kind of spun me out that the Good Friday Agreement, which was only signed in 1998. You know, we were living in London at the time this stuff was still happening, and 25 years later, 23 years later, we sort of forget that it happened a lot. There were lots of, anyway, yeah, so it was quite full on 1973. In popular culture, on a slightly lighter note, Elvis Presley's Aloha from Hawaii television special is seen around the world by more than 1 billion viewers. And to put that in context, in 1973, there were fewer than 4 billion people on the planet.
Wow. Look at
That's
that.
amazing.
Wow.
25% of the population.
It's a pity you didn't get a little bit of money from everybody who watched it. Like £1 each.
Yeah. Yeah, well, on TV, top 5 most watched TV programs was the still incredibly relevant at number 5 Miss World, the World Cup football, which is weird because it was 73. This Is Your Life with Esther Rantzen, Benny Hill, and the number 1 most watched TV program in the UK in 1973 was the Eurovision Song Contest.
Sorry, can I just ask?
Great.
Sorry, were we talking about particular individual programs? So was it Esther Rantzen on This Is Your Life?
Oh, that's called That's Life. That's.
Oh yeah.
This is your life.
Well spotted.
That you
Not
had
Esther Rantzen at all. Well done. In music, top 5 most bought singles. At number 5, Killing Me Softly with This Song by Roberta Flack.
Yeah.
Number 4, Crocodile Rock by Elton John.
Another good
Number
song.
3, The Sweets Ballroom Blitz.
Another good song.
At number 2, Tie a Yellow Ribbon Round the Old Oak Tree by Tony Orlando and Dawn.
That's one of my, honestly, these are all of my favourite song lists.
And at number 1, Angie by the Rolling Stones.
Oh.
And can you name the artist and album released this year in 1973 that went on to become the all-time best-selling album by a British artist?
No.
Is it David Bowie with you? No.
No, is it John Lennon?
It's not. No, it is Pink Floyd. Dark Side of the Moon.
That's a meaty one. Now listen, I've lost you. I currently just see adverts for yoga, and don't get me wrong, I love a bit of yoga, but I'd much rather see you two. So I don't know what I need to do. So bear 1 minute. You're back. That's fine.
Good. A couple of deaths, 4 deaths, prominent deaths in 1973. J.R.R. Tolkien died. Lyndon B. Johnson, president of the US, died. Pablo Picasso popped his clogs. And Bruce Lee passed away. Top 5 grossing films: The Way We Were, Papillon, American Graffiti, The Sting, and the top grossing film in 1973. What do you think?
I can't remember.
It's a horror.
The Wicker Man. No,
Nope.
Don't Look Now.
The Exorcist.
Nope. The Exorcist.
Yes. See, now my guess with Max von Sydow, I was actually very close to.
You were ahead of
I
time,
was
weren't you?
so close to
You were
Ellen.
tuning
I
into the
nearly
future.
got it.
Okay, so that brings us to our first film, and we are going to talk about The Wicker Man. So very quickly, let me tell you a few bits and pieces. Oh no, actually, James, play a clip.
I am here to investigate the disappearance of a young girl. Where is Rowan Morrison?
If Rowan Morrison existed, we would know.
I suspect murder.
Sergeant, I've already
In the name of God, woman, what kind of mother are you? That can stand by and see your own child slaughtered.
You are the fool, Mr. Harry.
You're liars. You are despicable little liars.
You're good with them clips, aren't you?
Yeah.
Slots them in nicely. So, The Wicker Man, as we know, released in 1973, directed by Robin Hardy, who also did The Fantasist, but didn't do a great deal else. It was written and conceived by Anthony Schaefer and David Pinner, screenplayed by Anthony Schaefer and David Pinner, and is loosely based on a novel that Pinner wrote in 1967 called Ritual. Music's by Paul Giovanni. The budget was about £500,000, and the international box office was a barnstorming £58,341. It won a couple of awards, Saturn Horror Award and a Rondo Award, whatever they are. But it scores 89% on Rotten Tomatoes and gets an IMDb rating of 7.5. No sequels, but there was a heavily panned remake in 2006 by Nicolas Cage, also featuring James's favourite actress, Ellen Bernstein.
Yeah.
Yes. Has anyone seen that one?
No, I need to see it.
It's not good, apparently.
Yeah, I've heard very bad things.
Apparently it's just full of plot holes. But we'll come to plot holes a little bit later. Notable actors in this film. Edward Woodward as Sergeant Neil Howie, Christopher Lee as Lord Summerisle, Britt Eklund as Willow McGregor, Diane Cilento as Miss Rose, Ingrid Pitt as the librarian, Lindsay Kemp as Alder McGregor, and Russell Waters as the harbour master. Lots of other random people in here, but those are the notable actors. Quick question for you.
Yeah.
Why does Edward Woodward have so many D's in his name?
Or else it'd be Iwa Wua.
It'd be Iwawuwa.
You can't have that.
Laurie, would you please give us a 1-minute synopsis of The Wicker Man? Okay,
I wanted to sing the song. Oh, I can't remember it. I can't really remember. Oh, we're in a plane, and it's a boat plane as well. And there's your Iwa Wuwa. No, he's got Edward Woodward looking at the plane, and he's flying over this island, and it's almost a little bit similar to The Shining, isn't it? That open sequence of The Shining, all the trees and stuff. You're coming closer down into town, and he lands on the sea. And he needs a dinghy. Please send a dinghy. And the guys are like, "Oh, I can't send you a dinghy. That's illegal. What are you doing here? You're not local, weirdo." And then you realise, obviously, this island is full of people that do things slightly differently, and he's looking for a lost girl. Rowan Morrison, and everyone seems very, very cagey. And as he starts investigating, it seems very weird and very sinister. Who the hell are these people? What have they done to Rowan? Have they killed her? Is there sacrifice going on here? Who are these heathens? Because he's a very good Christian boy. Yeah.
Very good. Well done. Okay, so
that was that under a minute.
It was under a minute, yeah.
Shit.
It was.
Okay.
Look at that. First memories, James. When did you first see it?
Yeah, I must have watched this. I think it was around university time. I think certainly no later than that. And I loved it. I thought it was different, quirky. It's so English. It's such an English horror film because, you know, we've got all those kind of pagan traditions just kind of floating around in like rural Britain, haven't we? With maypoles and, you know, Morris dancing and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it just evokes all the slightly weirder side of country life for me, I think.
Yeah. Laurie, when did you first see it?
It's sort of 1997-ish. 1997-ish, around there. And I'm going to admit, first time I saw it, because obviously everyone was big, "Oh, I love The Wicker Man, I love The Wicker Man." I think I saw it first with my mates and stuff. Put it on, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, it was all right." And what a twit, because I was just really just seeing it as, I suppose, just some guy trying to find a girl, and there's like the old pagan stuff, and then they kind of sacrifice him. That's all I really took from it, and I never realized the whole. It's When I first saw it, I thought, yeah, it's all right.
Well, the thing is, it's not a traditional horror film, as in there are no horrific elements. It's just all very unnerving, building up to that dramatic conclusion, really. So if you're looking for like shocks and scares or things like that, they don't really come.
Yeah. So I first saw it probably within the last 4 or 5 years. And I think I probably felt similarly to you. It's like, yes, it's all right. It's a bit weird. I watched it again for this, and I love it.
Yeah.
There's so much going on that,
Yeah.
like you say, if you're looking for a horror, this is some weird, folky, dancey, musical. And apparently the director, halfway through production, actually sprung it on the cast that we're making
this is a musical. Yeah.
Like, what?
What?
What the? But I absolutely love it. So on my second watching, I was actually sat thinking, okay, well, what is this film really about?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? So let me give you my take. So for me, it was, on second watching, it was really that kind of, this is a clash of religions.
Yeah.
This is one set of thought processes and beliefs heavily clashing against somebody else's, because Howie plays this super pious Christian.
Yeah.
And Christopher Lee is there as Lord Summerisle, who is a pagan. Whether it's paganism or, I guess Howie calls him a heathen.
Mm-hmm.
But it's literally just the clash of these two religions. And actually, when I was watching it, I was sat there kind of going, well, is one any less ridiculous than the other?
Well,
more ridiculous than the other?
Exactly.
I mean, they both rely on extraordinary.
One is more ridiculous than the other, if you ask me. I mean, Catholicism and Christianity. Yeah, with the all judging, overseeing kind of dude, as far as we know, they kind of sort of sellotape that sector. All judging and always watching and all that, compared to people that are saying thank you to the sun, thank you to food, thank you to crops, thank you to life. I think, I think one has a little bit more sense than the other, don't you?
Well, what was great about it is, you've got the copper going through the whole film, basically sneering at this religion, whether it's like putting toads in mouths or people becoming hares, and just whether he's not ridiculing it, he's just about tolerating these idiots. However, they're just happily going about their business, and they know they're right, until they get all the way to the end, when he does exactly what they expect of him, and their religion by far wins out. So the old ways are just win over, and Christianity, he's left calling for a God that does not come. However,
or does he?
Well, they wrote a screenplay to a sequel about 30 years later. So there was lots of reasons why they didn't want to do it. One, that they'd all aged, but at the start of this sequel, it was suggested that a thunderstorm appeared and put out the Wicker,
put the fire out.
And and then it was like a race around the island, and it got a bit more supernatural. But
it was a bit more Benny Hill music at that point.
They realised that would be a terrible idea. So
it's a really interesting film for me, and just that kind of, Laurie was saying a little bit earlier while you were otherwise engaged, James, that whole kind of the strength of the symbolism and power in these kind of, if you look at all those kind of old belief systems, they're all about something real, tangible, that touches us as human beings. So whether it be the sun or crops or wind or rain or anything like that, but it's all super weird. Let's not, the whole maypole. What's the maypole? It's a massive piece.
It's a massive, great big car.
Equally, you look at it and you kind of go, and equally you look at it and you kind of go, well, what is the steeple on a church?
Yeah. It's a big old cock.
As all of these, and that was, I think, one of the things from that kind of religious base.
Yeah.
Everything he had a problem, Edward Woodward had a problem with. You kind of transpose into, you can go, well, there's a mirror, if not an exact replica of that within your religion as well. You're just doing it for different reasons.
Yeah.
What do you think of the? Sorry, go on, Lauren.
I was going to say that the writer. Oh, damn it! Who wrote this again? Was it
Schaefer or Pip?
Yes? Yeah. Is it Thomas Schaefer?
Anthony
Schaefer. Yeah.
Anthony Schaefer. Yeah. So he kind of the Hammer horror films were, you know, they were still doing well, but it was definitely all, you know, Dracula and Frankenstein and, you know, sort of your standard kind of horror fare. He was desperate. He wanted to do something a little bit different. And Christopher Lee as well had expressed he wants to, you know, can I do something more than just being Dracula or whatever? And so, yeah, he deliberately kind of sort of had a look around and he got this feel for the kind of whole pagan thing and sacrifice and, you know, that old religion. And he said, the catalyst, the first starting point that he started with would be, okay, what would make the most perfect sacrifice to these pagan believers? What would be the most perfect thing? And it would be, you know, someone of power, someone of deep belief, a virgin, because they're so believing, and all that stuff. So he kind of started from that point. It was like, okay, oh yeah, it would be like a policeman. Yeah, okay. And then also at the time as well, it was quite popular in the film world, was kind of that sort of detection, the film you're like trying to guess the clues and figure out what's happened here, like a mystery thing, you know, like Sleuth with Michael Caine and Ollie. But yeah, he tied that in as well, kind of for the audience, because it was quite a popular thing, and it kind of sort of almost wrote itself from there. But what makes it such a wonderful film is those sort of traditions, those weird, these people going about their business with smiles on their face, saying some really crazy stuff linked to their beliefs. But it's like, yeah, you know, she's not dead, but she is dead, but she's not dead. She's now dancing because we believe this, that, and the other, or the songs that the children are singing, a man on a woman. And it's beautiful.
However, let's be clear, they were all lies anyway, because she was perfectly alive.
Yeah. Well, and that's
that bit was a lie. Yeah.
I was going to say on the script and the plot, I just think it's really well constructed. It's all of those bits and pieces that you come across. As you're going through it, you kind of think, this is super weird. And exactly to your point, that whenever he asks a question about Rowan, they go, no, that's not her desk. She's not. We don't know who you're talking about. Oh, well, we do really, but she's not dead because she's just transformed into a hare, or all these things. You sit there going, you people are a bit crackers, but okay. And then at the end, when Lord Summerisle just explains, actually, no, we just manipulated you. The whole island was in on it.
Yeah, but
and
again,
we were just going to get you, and we specifically researched for somebody like you.
The perfect sacrifice also says as well, tying into that perfect sacrifice, that old Eddie, came there of his own will, and he was standing at that rock at that moment from his own will. So they just orchestrated it around it, just let him do the dance work, and then he himself stood there.
The other thing as well, I noticed this time, is that they gave him ample opportunity to get away. Even to the point where Britt Eklund was trying to seduce him, and if he went with her, he wouldn't have been a virgin. And
exactly. She was trying to, you know, she was going, come on, but that is making, that is anointing.
That's the final tests, isn't it?
Yeah,
well, I thought
it was great, and I hadn't noticed that before.
But it's almost anointing the potency of him to be sacrificed, because they're giving him that and he's still resisting. So that's just making him richer, making his blood much more potent for the sun. And it's just wonderful.
Yeah. What do we think of the performances?
Brilliant.
I think there are two standout performances in this, and without either one of them, it doesn't work as well.
Emma Wood and
Christopher Lee. Yeah,
Christopher Lee.
I think they are, and that interplay between the two, and it goes to the script as well. But just the kind of, you know, the two authority figures, Edward Woodward as Howie, the police sergeant, and his assumption of power, that the 3 stripes on his arm, the fact he's a policeman means he can go anywhere, do anything. He doesn't need a warrant. He doesn't need any of this stuff because he is a good man. He is Christian. He's an authority figure. And then you've got the power of Lord Summerisle, and I just think he's fucking brilliant. Christopher Lee's voice is amazing.
He's amazing. And then just who would have dreamed how gifted is this earth? How gifted is cinema when that dance ceremony opens up and you see him? You see Christopher Lee dancing in that outfit with that makeup, with that music. That's just magic.
He looks a bit like Neil from The Young Ones.
Yeah, but it's so wonderful, so wonderful.
But and Edward Woodward's performance as well.
Yeah, uptight and just and annoyed and grumpy by them. It's really good.
Yeah,
but the locals, well, you know, a lot of people in this film are, you know, the locals, and they are just fantastic. The tone of obviously of their acting prowess just plays into that whole difference of what these people are, what that community is.
I mean, I like the shopkeeper. She's actually so normal, except fucking crackers. You know?
Yeah.
Everything's still with a sweet smile. She's a little old lady, you know, who runs a corner shop. It's brilliant.
I mean, when Eddie's just recently first turned up, and the first night you've got the landlord's daughter song at the pub, and that, you know, that's when you start to realize, okay, this is a full-on musical. It's just wonderful. All these different characters contributing to the landlord's daughter song. Really. And
then the musical piece when the young man is brought in as like the night before May Day to kind of sleep with Willow, and they're all sat in the pub underneath looking up, singing.
So just to be clear, you watched the director's cut, because that was in the director's cut, I think.
I did.
Yeah. And I think actually the original's better. I think.
Is that not in the original?
No, there's quite there's a lot of extra kind of scenes that kind of don't really add anything to the story, really. They, you know, all things. So you see him picking up the grave, for example. You know, you hear more about the setup of the island and how it works, and the bit at the start in the original. I don't think there's any kind of scene which isn't on the island, but in
I saw. Yeah, so
got a bit where he's with his
at church.
And I think none of it actually adds to it. I couldn't see. I think there was one scene I found that I thought did improve it.
Was it the snails?
That
was so random.
But I saw the edited version, and it definitely still works. But that starts straight away where he's in the plane going to the island. But you're absolutely right. The director's cut, you actually see him in the police station getting the letter that's saying that, you know, Rowan has gone missing. But the main scenes that they took out were the young boy being taken to the landlord's daughter's window with old Chrissy Lee, and there's a part where Edward Woodward and Lord Summerisle, they're walking around the garden, and Lord Summerisle is explaining the importance of the apple and what that means and all that stuff. Whereas in the edited version, you literally just see Edward Woodward walking along eating a bit of apple.
And you wonder why apples are so important. They're talking about because when he's going on about the tin food, and it's like tin food on Summerisle, it's like
because I thought about that and I figured it out, and I've suddenly forgotten, but he can't eat anything of the land at that point, so they have to keep. He's eating just tin food.
They haven't got any food because
the crop has failed.
Oh yes, of course.
I can't remember what the cut was when I first saw it, but I think those scenes that the Edward Woodward in church actually praying and preaching.
Yeah, you still get a bit of that, but not a lot.
Adds to his piety.
Yeah.
It sets the scene. This is a deeply religious man. And when you're on the island and you've got the whole pub, first off, when you hear them singing about the landlord's daughter, it's like, oh God, this is a bit 70s, isn't it? Fucking hell. And then when they bring the guy in, and actually this is ritualistic. This is something other than what we as a broadly Christian, albeit more secular country now, recognise. It's other than what we were brought up to. And I think it does adds a layer of actually this is super weird. I don't know what's going on here.
But you still get that in the edited version, because you can see it's kind of like that night of fertility, because he goes out of the pub and he sees all the people in the darkness
copulating in the graveyards.
getting
and
their
all that kind of
rag on.
stuff.
There's some beautiful edits, isn't there? There's lots of freeze framing and
Yeah.
slow motion.
Yeah.
There's like a real weird magic to it. But the reason why it was edited so much, I think it was 13, 15 minutes they asked to take out of it. It was, again, it's obviously the production, the fat cats, because they were a little bit ashamed
They
of
didn't
it.
like it. Yeah.
They didn't like it. And the release of it, they decided to go with this person that wasn't particularly really massively promoting it, I think, because he paid a larger amount up front for it. Whereas it could have gone to Roger Corman, who would have made this film massive. But anyway, it didn't. And they decided to chop it down, and it was just sort of released as a double bill with, I think,
Don't Look Now. Yeah.
Yeah. And it didn't really hit as far as they knew. But then everyone actually going to see it was like, this is mega. And the film itself literally just gave it more and more force. And they got to the point where, and Christopher Lee was a lot behind this. It was like, there's some amazing scenes we don't have here. We need to get them back in. And that's when I think, must have been sort of maybe 90s, 80s, you started seeing the proper print of it. But there was only, so that's it. They had to go back to Roger Corman because they'd thrown all the prints, this film, the proper version, the version that you saw, Windy Bum, into a hole under the M3.
Yeah.
So they're all gone. And there was only one in existence left, and that was the guy Roger Corman right at the beginning that said, "Look, I'll make this film massive," but because he didn't pay enough money up front, they pulled out. He was the only one that had that print. So anyway,
Wow.
There we are.
Okay, so we've established that this is a musical. So talk to me about the music. What did you think of it?
Love it.
Yeah, I like this music as well. It fits perfectly. Music style, lyrics. Again, what I didn't like this time was actually seeing the band. So in the extended version, the band kept popping up, whereas before you just heard the music, and I think I preferred it.
Okay. So more ethereal.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's an interesting point because I recently saw the director's version and then the edited version, and I do think you're right. I think that it's fair play to the guy that was set up to take 15 minutes out of this thing, because I think that magic is still there, and a lot of the times you don't necessarily need to see it, and the ritual aspect, it gives you enough to know that there's other stuff going on. You don't necessarily need the snail, like you say. You don't need the band. Anyway.
Yeah.
I quite like the fact that it changes at the point he's trying to escape. It's all folksy up to the point he's trying to escape through the caves, and then it gets proper. It's not quite
weird.
It feels like it should be the 70s classic bomb, but it isn't quite.
Yeah, it's a bit. It's got that sophistication to it where it's a bit odd and weird. Yeah, but it does definitely sort of stand out, doesn't it? It's like, whoa, what the fuck's that?
James, you were going to say something.
Well, just really about Brit, because I think she had two body doubles and a voice double. So it's not
for the singing,
No, but it's not her speaking voice either. Apparently, she couldn't do the accent. So it's just.
She hated it. Apparently, every day on set, she was very unhappy.
Yeah, she was a bit of a cow.
Why they removed as much of her physically from the film as possible. Let's remove the voice, remove the ass. There we go.
It's a good bum wiggle, though, isn't it? When she's trying to seduce old Howie.
That's because it's not her.
Yeah. But that's, like I say, I think that I see it now as a spell as well. A spell is being cast because of his abstinence. It's just he's not even having a wank.
I thought she was doing a nice thing.
No,
but I guess it's interesting, though, isn't it? Because she would have saved him from being sacrificed, but she would have destroyed him as the man he thinks he is.
Yeah. No,
but screwed up everything.
Yeah, but that was the thing for me, that whole kind of, when she's singing to him and seducing him, and he's there up against the wall, and it was almost that kind of, it kind of showed that actually we're all like this fundamentally deep down inside. If you have this pious religion, you're suppressing so much of our natural nature that it doesn't take a great deal. It takes 2 days on an island and a woman waggling her boobs at you to start thinking, well, you know what? Maybe I'll try a bit of that.
Yeah, it didn't even wank, did he?
You know what? I was just thinking as well, just you know, whoever owned the house where they did all the Lord Summerall stuff, imagine coming back from their shoot and seeing that your bush had been turned into a giant penis.
Well, apparently they were in it. They were part of the crowd scene, the villagers, Lord and Lady, whatever they were.
Oh, really? Oh, brilliant.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about memorable scenes. Otherwise, we're going to be here all day.
We are already here all day.
We are. Come on, memorable scenes.
Well, at the end, obviously. I mean, the whole bit. It's basically the Lewis bonfire, isn't it? From the bit where he's in. The only thing that I think is a little bit sketchy is the fact that he puts on the punch costume. I mean, that variable was very variable.
It was, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But equally, you do sit there thinking, why are they speaking so loudly right outside his door? And then it's like, because they want him to.
Why did he leave his door open?
Don't know. And who likes a freaky candle?
Yeah, but the whole build up to the end, yeah. Oh, that was another thing. I don't know. I think no, but I think you did see the body. There's a body in the coffin with a hand missing, and you wonder why's that? And then they light it. Were you there?
Just about to leave the island, but the plane boat thing has been tampered with, and then just from behind the walls, all these masks start coming up. The ceremony is starting. You just the windows and
the salmon of knowledge.
Yeah.
I quite like the hobby horse.
Yeah.
So when he's trying to follow it, and it put me in mind of is it's almost like Hot Fuzz did the same thing. I kind of lifted that every time he runs around a corner, the prey is further away, and it's kind of like deliberately luring him so he can overhear things and start building this, driving him to action. Really, really
It
good.
reminded me of the Yellow Submarine, actually, that bit, in a way, which is a great film.
The Blue Beans.
Interesting. Any memorable lines? And then let's get on to score. I've got one. So after Howie walks past the ring of maidens, naked ring of maidens jumping over the fire, and he says to Lord Summerisle, "They are naked." And Summerisle just says, "Naturally, it's much too dangerous to jump over fire with your clothes on."
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
I can't remember what the last word is there, but when he's talking to the children, he could have said something like, "You were despicable little things." I can't remember what the last word is. What's that?
Liars.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're despicable little liars.
And there's also one of those examples of the interplay between Summerisle and Howie when around that naked bit. So he's seen all this stuff and he goes to see Summerisle for the first time, and Summerisle just says, "Do sit down, Sergeant. Shocks are better absorbed with the knees bent."
He's such a dude, isn't he? You just love him.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And then at the end, when he's explaining to Howie how they've manipulated him from the word go, and he just says, "The sacrifice of the willing king, virgin fool, will be accepted."
It will.
So good.
Will. I mean, listen, I'm just going to quickly say, the Lord Summerisle and his islands, they're just lovely. And I mean, you can, whatever side you fall down on, be it, Catholicism, Christianity, or paganism, if you look at it, oh, sorry.
I need your
I've
phone.
just been interrupted. I don't have it. It's not here. Sorry. Yeah, it's just my point, that these pagan, you could say, "Oh no, this is awful. They're killing someone for their crops," but it's only like once a year. Christianity, they've done countless murders in name of their beliefs or whatever, just once a year, or maybe it's each festival. So maybe at Christmas time, maybe the
no, it's only when the crops fail. That's they don't do a human sacrifice every year. It's just things fuck up.
Well, I was just thinking though, if it did get out of hand.
Sorry, that was it. That the one thing I thought was an improvement at the end in the director's cut, where he's seen the Wicker Man and he's seen what's going to happen. He says, "Stop it, because if this doesn't work next year, it's going to be you, Lord Summerisle." Yeah, and it's good. I thought that was good. I thought that was very good because he'd
kind of given up by then, though, hadn't he? He made no attempt to.
Oh yeah, when they was like carrying him into it, he was just like, "Yeah, go on." And I'm pretty sure I could have smashed my way out of that Wicker Man.
I did have that note. Yeah, I think.
You know, if you're you know, what a way to go. I mean, the other thing is that whole scene was extended, and it became quite painful to watch. Really.
Right.
Yeah, and all the animals screaming and the pigs squealing and all that.
Apparently, no animals were filmed in the making of this film, which I doubt for a second.
Yeah, it was the 70s. They were all burned.
Eat them all at the end of the shoot for a start.
Okay, let's get on and score it.
Yeah.
Performances, James.
9.
Laurie.
Yeah, 9. Come on.
8 from me. Effects, 6. James.
8.
8.
Plot, Laurie.
8.
9.
7 from me. Rewatch factor, James.
8.
4.
9.
Direction, 7. Laurie.
8.
6.
Cinematography, James.
7.
8 from me.
Yeah, 8.
Sound and music, 7. Laurie.
10.
8.
And James, what was that from you?
10.
Originality, Laurie.
8.
10.
James. 8 from me. Enjoyability, James.
9.
6 from me.
8.
And life-changing, past or present, it gets a 2 from me.
It gets an 8 from me.
Gets a 6 from me.
So that means I have got 84 points.
I've given it 63.
Yeah. And then pull the 3. 80.
80. Gives it a Movie Lighthouse score of 75.6.
That's punchy, right?
Oh,
That is very punchy.
that puts it at joint 12th place. I thought it'd been a top 10 actually. With The Silence of the Lambs, just below Battle Royale and the Rocky Horror Picture Show, but above Psycho.
It's definitely it's definitely loved. But yeah, okay.
Okay. So, moving on. Round 2. Round 2 is called You on Me on You.
On your face.
All right.
That's going to get complicated, I reckon.
First question. This one goes to James. What do I think your favourite musical film is?
Well, I told you the answer. So
just to let you know, I answered these for myself before I asked questions of you guys.
Right. Okie dokie. I'm going to say the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
And that is correct.
Yeah.
Hey.
Laurie, what do I think your favourite musical film is?
All That Jazz.
Oh, I didn't. But now, in hindsight, I would have. I thought it was Phantom of the Paradise.
What?
Okay.
Is that music? I was shit. But yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It is musical.
Of course
Yeah,
it is.
I'll watch that later.
Okay, so
I need to watch that
second
again.
question. We'll crash through these. James, what do I think your favourite Japanese movie is?
Battle Royale.
Yes.
I don't
Laurie.
know who's getting the points here. Is it me?
You're
Yeah.
getting the point, yeah.
Right.
Because you're having to think what I think. Laurie,
Yeah,
what do I
yeah.
think your favourite Japanese movie is?
Oh, babes. Jeez. Yeah. House.
Yes! Okay. James, what do I think your favourite horror movie is?
The
Well, I've already
Shining.
given you the point. Oh, no. I put The Candyman.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Laurie,
Mhm.
what do I think your favourite horror movie is?
I think you think it's The Exorcist.
I do think it's The Exorcist.
The version you've never seen.
The
Even
version
though
I've
you
never seen.
have seen it, but they still haven't changed the title.
Okay. James,
Yeah.
who do I think your favourite Batman actor is?
Jared Leto. Oh, I was talking
Yeah,
about
just go with that.
This is the actor who played Batman.
Oh, okay. Who was the very first one? Who was the first one in the?
Was Adam West.
Adam West.
I did put Adam West for you, James. Yeah.
Well done.
And Laurie, who do I think you think is the best Batman actor?
I've said some crazy shit in my time. Some crazy shit. So I'm gonna put it in there and test it out. Ben Affleck.
Ooh, no.
Christian Bale.
I put you were going to pick Robert Pattinson, even though you haven't seen the film.
Oh right, yeah, good call. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And this is Laurie. A question for you about James. What horror film character did James dress up as in order to terrorize my wife when they lived together at university?
It's Jason.
Oh, the other one.
Oh, Mike Myers.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Shit.
And then
It was all like it was meant to be because I had this mask that looked just like it. I used to spend hours just waiting in a wardrobe.
Yeah.
Well,
she's still scarred. Okay, James.
Yeah.
What character did Laurie dress up as when he went to Secret Cinema's version of Blade Runner? And I need the character.
Oh, is it a character from Blade Runner?
Yeah.
The mechanical owl.
Oh, so close.
I have no idea.
It was Rick Deckard.
Rick Deckard.
Now, is
My
he the one that plays Harrison Ford?
Yeah, he's the one that plays Harrison Ford.
That's it.
So, at the end of round 2, James, you have slightly extended your lead. It is now 3 plays 5.
Yeah, in your face, Laurie.
Told you. All on my face.
Okay, so at risk of this really going on forever, let's come on to our second feature, which is Theatre of Blood.
Yeah.
James, drop a clip, my friend.
Bernhard, what the hell do you want here?
Quite insane. Oh my God. In the midst of life, we are in death.
I'm sorry to have missed the meeting, but my heart is with you.
Can't believe it. His head cut off.
It's dropped.
I've gone all street there.
That's because of the nature of this film, I imagine.
So, 1973 release, as we know, directed by Douglas Hickox, screenplay by Anthony Greville Bell, based on an idea by Stanley Mann and John Cohn. Music was by Michael J. Lewis. The budget apparently was $3 million.
What?
Yeah, I don't know about that. International box office was apparently $1 million. It gets a 93% Rotten Tomato score, so they obviously love it. And it is considered by many to be Vincent Price's best film. And it was also the film where he met his wife. He was married at the time, but he met his next wife, Coral Brown, who plays Chloe Moon, and was introduced to her by Diana Rigg. Which brings us on to the actors. The actors in this film, the sound of their voices just transported me back to my childhood.
Yeah, and they're all there.
And it just made me want to watch Watership Down. We've got Vincent Price, Diana Rigg, Ian Hendry, Harry Andrews, who was one of the great voices in Watership Down, Robert Coote, Michael Horden, the wonderful Michael Horden, who is Frith in Watership Down, Robert Morley, Coral Brown, Jack Hawkins, who probably had the broadest Hollywood career of everybody apart from Vincent Price, being in Lawrence of Arabia, Ben-Hur, Zulu, things like that. Arthur Lowe from Dad's Army, amazing. Dennis Price, who is the lead in one of my favourite Ealing comedies, Kind Hearts and Coronets, Milo O'Shea and
good
Eric
one.
Sykes. What a cast.
Brilliant.
Diana Dawes. There's a slice of
Diana
Diana
Dawes.
Dawes in there.
Diana Dawes as well.
Sorry, she was on the second list that she didn't. Yeah, she didn't.
Yeah,
rate
it's
the top
all right.
12. Sorry about that. Laurie, it's 1 minute synopsis time.
Oh, you fell out my ears. Right. London. 1972. A couple of years ago, there was the Best Actor Awards that happened. There's this one actor called Edward Lionheart, and he didn't get the award that year, but he was convinced that he was going to get it. So much so, actually, when they were giving out the award that year, he stood up. It wasn't him. They gave it to a new up and coming star. So Lionheart goes up there. He's affronted. He takes the award saying, "This is rightly mine." And they say, "No, screw you." And then he actually looks like he kills himself. He jumps off. He's so upset. But he specifically put his whole career into Shakespeare. He only did Shakespeare, apparently. Didn't really stray from that. Anyway, 2 years later, he starts coming, well, all these critics start being killed via strange kind of sort of scenes that are a little bit like Shakespeare plays. What could be happening here? That's it.
Pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, pretty good.
Was that under a minute?
It was. Have you been?
Yeah, I don't know what you're just trying to do it right for just
First memories, Laurie. When did you first see this?
Could be. I'm gonna say like 8 years ago. Did I enjoy it? Thoroughly loved it. Just loved the concept. Vincent Price is shining here. It's cheeky. It's funny. It's clever. Yeah.
James?
Right. Okay. I've never seen this before. And look, I did really enjoy it. However,
I love it when you start a sentence with "look."
I thought it was a bit of a Lord diminishing returns. Really, it was too long. There were too many critics, and as the Shakespearean deaths continued, Vincent Price got hammier and hammier. Really, and towards the end, it was just too much. I think there was just a couple too many, really, and the dogs were just ridiculous.
I quite like the dogs, but I do agree with you. First time I saw it was yesterday or 2 days ago, and I think sometimes I'm just a bit thick because I sat there. I didn't know what to expect going into it. I didn't know whether we were going to get a Vincent Price horror movie, and so I sat there for a little while, kind of going, "This is fucking camp as hell, isn't it? What's going on here? His makeup's terrible." And it is that kind of classic old school Shakespeare, theatre Shakespeare. And it put me in mind of the episode in Blackadder II when the actors are talking about Macbeth and they go, "No, we must not be killed." It just put me in mind like that. It took me embarrassingly long time to get my head around the fact that this is a comedy.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But I suppose Diana Rigg doesn't help because she plays it. Well, I'd like to say she plays it so straight, but her costumes again go from
how much do you think they thought we wouldn't guess it was her in the wig and beard?
No idea. Oh, it was a bit with the
I like to think.
Oh my god! Is it
the bit of
accent with the hairdressers? It was just an old man trying to do a hip 70s person in the 70s. It was just.
It's Vincent Price doing a hip, gay American hairdresser in a massive afro and sunglasses. Yeah, it was really cool. But I like to think that Diana Rigg in the wig and the moustache and the glasses, that reveal at the end, yes. I think they thought, yeah, maybe no one's guessed. But it's so wonderful. All this sort of, Vincent Price, obviously, every murder that happens of each of these critics is centered around a particular specific Shakespeare play, and he'll dress up and he's the prosthetics and the outfits that he guises across this. It's really
it was his favorite film, wasn't it? Because it gave him the chance to do a Shakespeare speech.
Yeah,
but he's playing. Actually, this is quite an interesting question. So he's playing Edward Lionheart, right? Who is convinced that he's
the best actor of his generation.
Best actor of his generation, albeit he's completely solely doing Shakespeare stuff. But he's playing it a bit, hammy. I mean, because apparently I should know more about Vincent Price, but when he does really do something serious, he's really good. He's really chopsy, amazing.
We've all seen Thriller.
Well, yeah, exactly. That gives you an idea. Whereas in this, he's kind of got that hammy kind of aspect. But do you think Lockhart is a good actor? Is he actually a good actor?
Well,
he should have won that award that year.
So I think when Devlin, one of the only one of the 8 critics, is it?
Yeah.
Who survives, he says the reason we were so hard on him, the reason Devlin was so hard on him in any of his critiques was he wanted to goad him into doing something other than Shakespeare so he could prove how good an actor he was.
Right. So that implies then that he is actually a good actor then.
That he could have been a bit chopsy, but he stayed in his safe kind of rut, as it were.
Right. Gotcha.
But I've got a question for you, James.
Yeah.
I had hoped you'd seen this before. I was wondering whether this film was why you started 15-minute theatre. Because theatre critics earn a shit ton of money back in the 70s. They all live on Chain Walk along the Thames.
Yeah.
They've all got these massive apartments just for writing theatre critics. What?
Do you know what? I'm just talking about that apartment. I know we're jumping ahead, but I think that's one of my favourite scenes when he's doing his speech through the windows.
To dream.
Yeah, and it just works really well. There's 3 windows or 4 that he uses, and then he hurls himself off, which is a bit daft. But that's exactly why I set up my alternative podcast, which is unfortunately on
hiatus.
Yes, as soon as there isn't any fucking theatre.
No. So, with Price's let's talk about performances, because this is clearly just Vincent Price kind of going, I know, I'm going to play a French guy, a gay guy, a scientist, a masseuse. There's all these things I want to play.
The chef, he's got the chef's hat for one of them, isn't he?
What do we think?
So, my dog's going crazy. What?
I think it's not necessarily the performances, it's just the setups are just so fun. I think out of all of them, my kind of favourite one is the Arthur Lowe one. I mean, that's fucking horrible. I mean, I can't remember what the Shakespeare play is. It Titanius and
How's he died? Sorry,
he has his head cut off.
His wife. So it's Arthur Lowe. So they're sleeping and they creep in as surgeons and set him all up, and they basically chop his head off. But it's a very funny scene, but it's horrible. But all the different kind of setups of these murders, I think, is just the real thing about this film. It's not necessarily the performance. It's just so it's fun.
Well, the setup relies on, certainly on some of them, on their biggest weaknesses, the critics' biggest weaknesses. So you've got you've got or their kind of assumed power. We were talking about that kind of privileged power with Howie in Wicker Man. He just assumed he could go and do his job. And then you've got the first critic to die. It gets a phone call from the police saying, we've got a load of squatters in that building that you're chairman of the association that owns. Mm-hmm. We're the police, but can you come down and help us get rid of these squatters because you've got some authority about you? And just that kind of absolute bulletproof belief in his position, that he goes into this group of drunks and drug addicts and all these people and just kind of goes, come on, get out.
But that
hit them with an umbrella.
To be honest, and that kind of worked for me, because that really epitomised the 70s about these ministers
and
the guy people in power were more powerful than the police, and they were just the idiots that would back them up, really. And only I could go and do this, but I'll be back in time for drinks at 4 or whatever.
Yeah, I imagine they'll want somebody with some proper authority.
Yeah.
And the critic who's out for lunch, and Diana Rigg turns up and says, "Oh, so-and-so's not made. He said he'd come and review us," and it's just this lecherous.
Yeah. So I liked his death as well. I mean,
because
he has to.
Good.
He has to become. Yeah, he has to become part of
living
the play. So the three characters are.
Yeah.
The 3 characters are kind of sort of starting to actually do the the Shakespeare itself. Yeah, and they take the pound of play.
I mean, they do fall into the trap as well of throughout this film. The police force is incredibly incompetent. The fact that they know what's going on, yet they can't save a
Eric
single life.
Sykes.
Well, Edward Sykes is actually the clever one, isn't he? You know, he's the quiet one in the background reading the Shakespeare.
Apart from the fact
he does climb in a boot and get hit by a train. He's not actually.
Oh yeah, I thought that's quite a good end for him, I guess.
It's a great film. I really like it.
Yeah, too long then. But I loved it. It was really enjoyable.
Did you like his disciples? Do you like Vincent's disciples? His troop.
Yeah, I mean,
it was
weird. Yeah, I mean, it was through that alcohol. I mean, even I wouldn't have drunk that alcohol. No,
methylated spirit. It's methylated spirit, and on IMDb they are called the meths drinkers.
I had it down as Umbungo.
It's got that purpley colour that you get in mouth rinse at the dentist. Maybe that's methylated spirits.
It's kind of almost like, as well, you know, when in the 60s Batman, when someone like King Tut would suddenly remember he's King Tut and therefore the evil mastermind, and then he'd get hold of a load of sidekicks that were working in that place and stuff, and just still do what he's bidding. And those meth people were basically, okay, you're working for me now, and this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be dressing up as Shakespeare, and
I think that was it. That it was the bit when he'd thrown himself off the balcony. He'd gone into the river, and it was the expose as how he's still alive. And they just dragged him out and were nicking his clothes when he woke up, and then they went, "Oh, all reverential." But it was that bit.
Gave him some meth.
Gave him some meth, which he spat out the first time. Favorite death of the 8. What was your favorite? I think there were 8. I think mine is the one where the body gets dragged by the horse to the funeral of the first critic. That's quite a powerful scene with the horse charging up the cemetery roadway.
That is a good. My favourite's Arthur Lowe. I'm very conscious we've got a delay at the minute.
What
have we?
No, we haven't.
Yeah, I'm about like 5 seconds behind.
Well, in our time, you're perfectly in time.
You do appear to be on time. There's a slight plot hole with the Arthur Lowe death.
What's that?
Well, when his wife wakes up and finds, and the servant has come in with the breakfast and the head rolls onto the floor, the next scene is it's on top of Devlin's milk bottle. And it's, how did you get
That's right. Yeah,
from the
absolutely
carpet
right.
in the apartment to on top of a milk bottle?
Oh, yeah.
It
absolutely
looks
right.
Good.
Yes.
I don't know quite what else I kind of want to say about this, other than it is super camp.
It's fun.
It is fun. I do like.
Good. Can I just say the good ending? I think it was filmed at. It's not there anymore, but it was called the Putney Hippodrome or something, and it was going to be demolished, so they were allowed to burn it.
Is that right? I knew it was Putney Hippodrome.
Yes.
And they set fire to it.
Yeah.
I do love the laissez-faire attitude to safety in the 70s.
Very, very fun. Very King Kong as well, wasn't it? At the end.
Yes.
Quite like that.
I did quite like the fact that there was a TV show called This Is Your Dish.
Oh.
And it was actually a TV show.
Oh God, he was so excited to be on it.
It's a good film. Did you? Yeah. You enjoy it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I did? I did.
Yeah, me too.
Like I say, it took me an embarrassingly long time to realise what it was trying to be.
Yeah.
And when you've got him trying to fight Devlin in the fencing class, and suddenly he's bouncing on trumpets and trampolines, and it's just like, okay,
yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah,
that was cool.
Anything else?
I've got a few lines.
Yeah, go for it.
I've get it over then, so I don't have to listen to this demented rubbish of yours.
Yeah,
and I think the policeman says, I can't remember the name who was talking to, but it says, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. So-and-so, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. So-and-so is murdering your wife. Oh, thank you, sir.
Yeah, that was a weird death, that.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
peculiar.
I quite like the very beginning, the first death, when the first critic says, "You're dead," and Vincent Price says, "No, another critical miscalculation on your part. I'm well.
Yeah.
You're dead."
Yeah.
Lovely.
Good stuff. Any more for any more?
No.
Shall we score it?
Yeah.
Performances, James.
6.
I've given it 7. Laurie.
Yeah, 7.
Effects, 6. Laurie.
It's 7. Being very generous there.
Yeah, 7 for me.
Plot, Laurie.
7.
8.
6. Rewatch factor, James.
3.
I've given it a 3. Laurie.
5.
Direction, 6. Laurie.
6.
7.
Cinematography, Laurie.
Did they try? Yes, they did try. There were certain things that would lead into other things, scenes into other scenes that were very considered. 5.
6.
5. Sound and music.
I get an 8. I thought the music at the start really worked, and all the way through it was really good. So
Very good. I gave it 5.
7.
Originality, 5.
8.
7.
Enjoyability, Laurie.
8.
8.
7. Life-changing past or present, James.
1.
0 and 1.
So that means you get 62 from me.
62 from James. 50 from me.
Carry the 7. Drop the boy. I'm a man. Yes, I am. 60.
And 60 gives us a Movie Lighthouse rating of 57.3.
Yeah.
Right, which puts it right on number 55, place 55 with Cujo, just below Blood Feast. But it does put it above Halloween 3.
What? What the?
Which is number 56.
Fucking hell! And I still consider you two as friends.
Okay, with this dragging on and on, there is one more round.
Right.
Halloween.
Okay, so scores at the moment. Laurie, you have 3. James, you are on 5. Final round is you on me.
Right, okay. This is so weird.
So, and this is, I think both of you to kind of answer at a similar time, maybe not the same time as I won't hear you. What is my favourite Japanese movie?
I'm going to
One Cut of the
say
Dead.
House.
Point for Laurie.
What did you say, Laurie?
One Cut of the Dead.
Which cinematically adapted horror novel is my favourite?
The Exorcist.
Shining.
Yep.
Damn it.
Exorcist. Okay, so that's a better approach. First in with the right answer wins. Who is my favourite Batman actor?
Keaton.
Michael Keaton.
It's Keaton, yeah. 1 point to James. What is my go-to movie art form when I'm hungover?
Action.
Any advance on action?
Sci-fi.
Pornography. Porno.
Pornography. Any advances?
No.
Erotica.
Animation.
Ah.
Yeah. And lastly, by the look of it, there's 2 points up for grabs here. In a period of big studio filmmaking that is void of new ideas, which 2 remakes make my blood boil?
Robocop.
Yep.
Oh, no. How about what's that woman on Schwarzenegger where he goes to Mars?
Total Recall.
Yeah, Laurie steals it at the end.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Thanks, you just gave me a lift up. That's all right. Just
Yeah,
wash your
I've still
hands.
won now.
Wash your hands.
Don't want the floor.
Oh, close though. And James wins it 7 points to 6.
Yes, I did.
So it looks
Right.
like you are the Mr. and Mr. and Mr. winner. And that brings us to the end of the Valentine special. And we just now need to pick films for next time.
Wait, can I
Which I
say,
will
this has
hand
been
over to you, James.
This has been an amazing Valentine's special. I have thoroughly enjoyed
Isn't it?
myself. Yeah, it's been great. Good films as well. Right, so here we go. Let's do this a bit quickly.
Whose pick
So,
is it?
The number is today number 5.
Oh. I feel like I haven't chosen in a very long time.
Yeah, it's
but I might be
chose last
wrong.
time.
It's Laurie to choose. It's another year for a change. And this time we are whizzing all the way to 2005.
So my first one
Mhm.
is Sin City.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. What's his face? Rodriguez. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis, Clive Owen,
The little scary dude.
Jenna
The Hobbit.
James. No, not Jenna
Yeah,
Jameson.
no.
No.
Okay, my first choice is The Descent. Which,
Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
And my second choice is Constantine.
Okay. With
Oh.
your
Oh,
Keanu Reeves.
Keanu.
And my second choice, this isn't going to be it, but it was going to be Earthlings, which I looked and thought, oh, that looks interesting with Joaquin Phoenix. Then I realised it was all about intensive farming, so I don't think it was probably film for me. So I've decided to go for The Pursuit of Happiness, the Will Smith film.
Oh right. Oh okay. So my lovelies, out of those fine suggestions, we're going to go for The Descent.
Yes.
I think we all knew. And then Sin City.
Nice.
As much. All right. Well, that's pretty good.
They are.
Wonderful.
Well, thank you very much, Wyndham. All back to
Thank
normal
you very
for the next
much.
6 months.
Thank
Until
God.
they'll get us through the spring and summer, and then it'll be Halloween again, and maybe we'll get to see each other. Who knows? Or maybe there'll be a brand new
Fingers
pandemic.
crossed. Well, fingers crossed. Come May, we'll all. Oh, I'm being optimistic. Come May,
Maybe we could
we'll,
have like
get together.
a Wicker Man themed get together in May for May Day.
Oh, that'd be wonderful. I've got
Yeah.
the perfect place for it.
And you got the apple trees for the
Is it
sailing.
Summer Isle?
I've
Laurie?
got the apple dancing.
Lighthouse.